Hello, I'm David, this is Hank, and today we're talking about what you should be doing for your gecko on a daily, weekly and monthly basis. Before we get started, 2 bits of housekeeping. Number 1, we are animal led, so if Hank gets bored here, we will be putting him back. And number 2, please remember to like, share and comment on the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. So leopard geckos are really easy to look after. Their daily routine only takes about 10 to 15 minutes. Their weekly is only an additional 10 to 15 minutes. And their monthly is only about an extra hour per month. Now this can be broken down to 3. And in this video we're going to be describing how each one of those is different and what you need to be doing on each one. So let's start with the daily. Now the daily is going to be more fun, kind of enrichment, kind of engagement. So what you need to do is that you need to set up a time when you are going to be feeding, changing the water and cleaning out your leopard gecko. Now leopard geckos don't feed every single day, especially when they're adults. They feed every other day. Babies will feed every day, but only until they get to around about 35 grams. So you need to be considerate of what your feeding schedule is. But every day you need to be changing out the water. Take the water bowl, chuck away the old water and then replace it with new water. Do not worry about using dechlorinated water. The chlorine in the water will actually evaporate into the atmosphere within about half an hour. You know, if you have a bucket of water, that normally comes out within about 24 hours. So a little bowl is not going to last that long. The second thing to think about is changing food. Remember to remove all the old food and then place in new food. It's relatively simple. You shouldn't really get too much left over. If there are a few mealworms in there, you can leave those in, really. But just remember that they've not had any food, so putting in some fresh gut-loaded mealworms or cricket is quite advisable. And also remember to add in your supplements on the supplement schedule that you have. And remember to also check for poop. Now leopard geckos are relatively clean. They will have a designated pooping area in their enclosure. And if you're using paper towel, it's quite simple to just pick it up and throw that in the bin and replace with paper towel. Or if you are using a sand soil substrate, then you can easily scoop that out, put it into a bin bag and then throw that out. It's relatively very simple. It only really takes about 5 minutes to do that. While you're doing this, you can have your gecko in a box, and after that you can handle your gecko. So before you put them in that they see their food, you can give them a handling session. So how long should you be handling your gecko a day? Well, you can handle your gecko for about 10 to 15 minutes per day, and you can do this up to 2 or even sometimes 3 times a day depending on your gecko. So create a routine. So if you're going to do your gecko maintenance after school or after work, then make sure you're doing that every time. Remember, these guys are crepusculate, so they prefer the dawn and dusk period, but they are also getting domesticated, and so they are learning to adapt to human routines, which they will adjust to your routine. It doesn't have to be a breeder's routine or a shot's routine, it will adjust to your routine, and keeping that in mind means that you can actually keep a gecko happy because they will be responding to those times. So if you do it at 5 o'clock every day, they will respond to that. If you do it at 8 o'clock every day, they will keep to that schedule and they will start to anticipate it. Now do remember that when you first get your leopard gecko home, that it will be new to you and the environment, so it may take time to get into a handling routine. So you may want to limit the handling at the very early stages to just 5 minutes per day and build up from them, adding on a couple of minutes every single week until you get to that 10 or 15 minutes that you would like to handle. Also remember that you can handle twice a day or even 3 times a day, so you might want to do a morning session, an afternoon session and an evening session. That is absolutely fine, but just bear in mind your geckos, some geckos prefer less handling, and some geckos prefer more handling, so just bear in mind what your gecko likes. And some geckos prefer certain people. It's just the way the geckos are. And that is really your daily maintenance. So what's different on the weekly maintenance? Well, your weekly maintenance is when you're actually going to be doing a little bit more cleaning. So I always suggest that you clean the front glass every single week. Just keep it nice and clean and shiny. The other thing I do is recommend cleaning the food bowls out, so food and water bowls out. So instead of just replacing it, take it out and give it a good scrub down. This is relatively easy to do. Just baby wipes or some sponge and soapy water. Make sure that it's reptile safe. Apart from that, you really don't have any additional weekly requirements. I would also suggest maybe testing the heating equipment. So just put your hand over the heat source or underneath the heat source, depending on what heat source you're using, and making sure that it just feels warm. But you don't really need to do any more than that on a weekly basis. So what's different on a monthly basis? Well, this is where you're going to be adding on a little bit more time. And you can do this either every week in little slots, so you rotate the jobs, or you can do it once a month, say on the first Saturday of every month, where you do an extra hour or 2 hours looking after the gecko. Now, on one of these parts is that you're going to want to be doing a more thorough clean of their enclosure. Now, depending on the substrate, this could mean taking out all of the substrate, giving it a good scrub down, and then putting in new substrate, but also remembering to do the sides and the top, and don't forget to do that glass every time. Or clean out the glass runners as well, because they get a lot of sand and soil in them, so those are things which you really want to keep clean, because if you don't clean those out, the glass gets stuck, and that can make horrible noises as well. I really don't like the noise of that, but that's one of the things that you can do. The other thing that you need to do is just do a proper check on the heating equipment, so get a heat gun, and we did talk about things that you might not realise you need for a leopard gecko in a video which is up here. And what you want to do is just use your heat gun or a thermometer and actually check the temperature, make sure it's getting between that 30 and 32 degrees. If it's not, you might need to check whether your equipment's working or not. But if you've been checking every week, you should have got a good detail of where it was. If it felt a bit cold, then you should have checked it a little bit earlier. It's something to learn to do. The other thing to do is also weigh your leopard gecko. Now, leopard gecko's weight need to remain within 10% of the base one. So as it's growing, that's a little bit hard to do. Geckos put on 1 to 2 grams per week as they grow, but as adults, they should maintain a weight that's somewhere between 45 and 90 grams. Now, that sounds like a big difference, and that just depends on the gecko. We tend to find that a lot of our adults are between 60 and 70. A couple of our males are at 80, and we do have a couple of males which are at 100. But we all know that they've all got a rough weight of where they are at full growth. So do check. If they're going up and they're still young, don't worry about it, but it's looking for that reduction in weight. That's the bigger problem. And if it goes down by 10%, then you really need to have a look at getting your gecko to a vet and making sure that it's all healthy. There are a number of things that could be wrong. It could have an influx of pinworms, or it could just have a cold. Geckos don't tend to demonstrate any kind of illness like most reptiles, and even rabbits. Rabbits don't do that. A lot of guinea pigs won't do that. They don't demonstrate when they're ill, they just carry on as normal, and that's the problem. It's those little subtle signs like the weight which can really tell whether or not an animal is ill or not, and they'll stop eating. If you've noticed that your gecko's not been eating recently, then it's a really good chance to weigh your gecko and make sure that they're not losing weight, because sometimes they won't eat, like during the winter. They will sometimes go in a slower brumation period, and that's actually normal natural behaviour, that they slow down during the winter, and that's just triggered by the lower light levels that are natural in our environment, but also because it gets a little bit colder and they just respond to that. And during the summer they will absolutely start eating lots more, and you might need to up their food just slightly. Apart from that, those are the three kind of schedules that you really need to do as a basic care for a leopard gecko. It's not really that difficult. It's really simple. It doesn't take up much time, which is why leopard geckos make a fantastic beginner pet. And if you're wondering which are the best beginner pets, we do have a video which you can watch up here. And apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, share and comment on the video, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much, and bye for now.